Super Rugby 2026 gets underway this weekend, folks. They've picked some nice, tasty rivalry matches for the first round. We'll go through the squads which have been named. We'll talk a little bit about the fantasy competition. I've opened a pool. It's down in the description, plus a bit of Super Brew, but we'll go through the squads, some of the kind of main talking points, who are the favorites, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. Crusaders away to the Highlanders, 7:05 Friday. That is the opener. I love it. It's a South Island derby match. Fabian Holland being injured for the entire season, though, absolutely sucks for the Highlanders. Their best player probably last year. Breakthrough player of the year internationally. Injured out for the season with a shoulder injury. Dylan Pledger, who was going to get his potential, crack at Super Rugby. He's out. The halfback who was cracking at NPC level. So a couple of bad news stories. But Caleb Tangitau's back on the wing. That dude was explosive last year, but for his injury, which cut off the end of his season. So he's back. Tavatawa Nawai's back from his injury, which he got early on for the All Blacks last year. Angus Ta'avao, their new signing, is at tight head prop. So you got two props who are both All Blacks in De Groot and Ta'avao. There's some good news despite the injury. Bad news for the Landers and for the Crusaders. Fainganuku's back, man. On the left wing, straight in. Not in the midfield. The midfield is the other All Blacks in Havili and Enor. But, some guys who you might think to pick for your fantasy team if you're playing. Will Jordan, he is only on the bench for this one. Crusaders are favourites. Bookies are saying 6 points. Rugby Forecast algorithm is saying 10. So around about a try and a bit to the good for the Crusaders. Then there's kind of your New South Wales Queensland match second up to get the Aussies underway. Waratahs hosting the Reds. I'll be interested to see how the Waratahs can settle, because they've made a heap of changes in the offseason. But Matt Phillip is back in Australia, and he captains the side from the second row, so he's a proper veteran of Aussie rugby. And Pete Samu's back, so you do have a couple of Wallabies veterans back in the side. Harry Potter's signed over from the Force, so another Wallaby there on the right wing. But they have lost a bunch of guys, and they had a bit of a kind of off-the-field scuffle. Like Angus Scott Young is listed as out with a calf injury. But remember, he got his face punched in during the preseason with one of his teammates at Mosatero, who is starting alongside Matt Phillip in the second row. For the Reds, they got an all Wallabies type 5 with Ross, Fassler, Nongo, Canham, and Salakai Oloto. So that's a bit of good. Aiden Ross got capped, didn't he? Former All Black. So, yeah, there's a lot of international guys there of varying kind of numbers of caps. But you've got some injuries at 10. There's no Carter Gordon, no Tom Liner, no Ben Volavola. They're all out. So you got Harry McLaughlin-Phillips at 10 for this one. Fraser McCrite's captain. Captain fantastic, so he'll be leading the way from that number 7 jersey. But yeah, Reds, despite being away from home, are the favourites. Algo says 5. Bookies say 1. So predicted to be a wee bit closer. Those are your two Friday games. Saturday, it's the Pacific battle with Moana. Pacifica heading over to Fiji. They're at Lautoka for this one. Lautoka tends to be more of the fortress for Fiji than Suva, so we'll see how well that holds true. Their injury list is listed at 0, the Drua, but they've lost a fair few guys in the off-season as well. There's no Ikanavere, so Toigitama is going to have to step up in the number 2 jersey because, man, Ikanavere played a lot of minutes last year. Maiana Vanua, the new signing in the second row, he's there. He's a big lump of a man. And then Kemu Valetini is going to pull the strings at 10, who was a bit of a bit part player at times for the Drua in the past, but with no months. He's going to have to step up. And then Veremi Vakatawa, I think he's listed at the moment as being free in Super Rugby's fantasy comp. He's 0. I don't know if they thought he was going to play because he only just come back. Well, he's had a heart issue. We saw him out of France. Then he went to Bristol, but he's back in Fiji now. So we'll see how he goes at number 12. Moana's had such an off-season in terms of guys leaving, the main ones being Savia to Japan for a sabbatical and Taumoi Folau going to the Chiefs. But they've still got some guys, like Miracle Whailangi's still there. He's captaining the sides. I think that's a good choice from Tana Umanga, the coach. Nani Laumape was the big name signing at 12, so he's starting. See if he's still got a bit of that punch that he always used to have. And then Patrick Pellegrini is quite the puller of strings at number 10 for the Moana boys. So if he kicks some goals, maybe they can cause some trouble for the Drua, but they're big-time underdogs. 8 points with the bookies. 5 with the algo. I'm not sure that's quite giving credit to the Drua's home advantage, but we'll see. The Drua, like I said, have lost some players. Then the Battle of the Pompeys, my Blues, Eden Park, 7:05 on Saturday, taking on the Chiefs. Both these sides are without their first choice 10s. Beaudy's being rested, and Dmac's off with the birth of his first child, so Don't pick either of those guys in your fantasy sides either. Good to see Stephen Perofeta back. Such a limited time last year. He's at number 10 for the Blues. And then Peter Aki back from France at 12. I'm excited to see how he goes, if he's still got some energy in those, I don't want to say old legs, because he's still a very young man compared to myself, but compared to some of the younger guys around him. Anyway, Dalton Papali'i is captaining the side at 7. Hoskins is at 8. Couple of the All Blacks cast-offs. And new signing Bradley Slater is at hooker. For the Chiefs, Tamoifalau, their new signing from Moana, is on the right wing. He'll be looking to make an immediate impact. I'm not sure how long he's got on the clock until he'll be eligible for the ABs. Remember, he's already played for Tonga. So he had a real breakout season last year. But some guys have just one season where they're exceptional, and then they kind of find it hard to maintain it. We'll see if he's the former or the latter, if he's able to maintain it or not. All Blacks second row, though, with Josh Lord and Tupavai. I thought Josh Lord ended the season really well with the All Blacks, so hopefully he can recapture some of that form. And Luke Jacobson is captain at number 8. The Blues, favourites with the Algo by 5, but underdogs with the bookies, because it says Chiefs by 3. So that's the only one that is a split between the Algo and the bookies. And then the last one, Western Force up against the Brumbies. Western Force have also made a few signings. Former All Black George Bridge is in the midfield. 13 jersey for him. Harry Johnson-Holmes. Haven't seen him play rugby for ages, but he was such a promising prop for the Tars for a number of years. So I'll see how he goes. And Franco Molina, their Argentinian signing. He's a really good line-out winner. He is there in the second row alongside Captain Jeremy Williams. So they're without Peach and Lancaster. Those guys are both out injured, a couple of their wingers. But yeah, they've made some good acquisitions. Have the Force and then the Brumbies. Relatively stable, but they're without Ikitau. They're without Tom Hooper. They're without Lolasia, who all left in the off-season. So they've got Declan Meredith at 10. Tane Edmed can't surpass him. Edmed's their signing from the Tars. He's only on the bench to cover. Ryan Logan captains at 9. And then, yeah, you still got some big-name Wallabies there. Rob Valentini is still there. There's no Ala Alatoa. He's out injured, but Slipper is still there. So it's a mix of kind of youth and experience, but the Brumbies are pretty big-time favourites. 14 points with the Algo. Only 2 with the bookies. So a little bit of a split there. I mentioned fantasy. If you want to play Super Rugby Fantasy, I've opened a pool. It's down there. They've changed it a wee bit from last year, I think, for the better. Like, player values will no longer be static. They're going to move up and down depending on how many people select them. So that's good, because last year it was just static for the entire season. So a lot of teams ended up with the same players. And they've, I think, adjusted the valuations a bit, because last year the players were undervalued. You could basically just pick all the best players and still have money left over. They've adjusted that a bit this year, so I'm hoping it's another good year for the fantasy comp. Super Brew, the kind of traditional predictions pool, I opened a pool down there as well. If you think you know your predictions, chuck them in, and we'll see who comes out on top. I don't think I've ever won the Super Rugby pool. Have I? I've won 6 Nations in Super Brew, but from my own pool, not for the entire thing. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. How are you feeling about Super Rugby's upcoming season? As I said, I think the schedulers have done a good job with some nice rivalry ones to get us underway. You guys take care. Subscribe to the channel. Fantasy Super Brew. All that jazz. Take care. Talk to you guys again soon. See ya.